Hi there. Thanks for inviting me out to coffee. Don't often get a chance to be here in front of the camera as me. Usually it comes with explaining something that's gone wrong or whatnot. But I had a friend tell me that I'm more engaging in front of a camera as me rather than as one of my characters, OmnusI or the OmnusI or Dirk or Lord Cadrian or what have you. So I thought I'd try this. A little open conversation. Just me, you, through the medium of the internet and camera. Just a little light conversation, nothing too serious. Hopefully this becomes a thing. A way that we can talk together. Because realistically, when I'm on camera doing any of my videos, from the Omnus Critic video, Character Witness, Lair of OmnusI, I'm playing a character. I'm not me. I'm a facet of me, generally, but there's a difference, you know? And whether it's a way of talking, or particular pose, or, you know, something, it's just not me. So, this way, it's unvarnished Rob. So, that's what you get today. But today's been kind of a day. I usually on a day off like today, I try to, you know, make a good video and such, and I'll do it while my wife and son are off. You know, my son's at school, my wife is working, and unfortunately today was a snow day. So through the last week and a half, I have been either my son was sick, and then we had an ice storm on last Thursday, which kept my wife and son home. And kept me in the house too, so I couldn't get out and do anything. And now today is a Tuesday, and again, no school. It's always on the days I have off. And much as I like, you know, I love my family, clearly, but they're noisy. I can't make videos with them in the house. I want to have a certain amount of quiet. I shut the furnace off, so that isn't kicking in, creating more distraction. I try to get things as quiet as I can here. I can't do a lot about the traffic outside. Sometimes you will hear things. And you'll hear thumps and people walking around upstairs that the camera will pick up, because that's how living in a house, it's over 100 years, as ours is. You hear every groan, every squeak, you can't just have somebody not be there. You know, as much as I envy some people being able to make video after video after video. You know, I love my family, and I wouldn't, you know, begrudge them that. But I fit this part of my hobby in between the cracks when they're not there, and when when it's more convenient. Generally, I then reserve, you know, editing and stitching my videos together when they are here, because that doesn't distract me too terribly much. I stay quiet at my little computer station, and you know, it all works out fairly well. But nope, today I got up really early. For a day off, I was up at 5 o'clock. To get up before my son gets up, because he's an early riser. His biological clock wakes him up at 7 o'clock like clockwork, so that he gets up for school, but he gets up on his own so that he can watch videos and play games like teenagers like to do. And yes, he's a teenager now, so that's always fun. It means a little extra effort to get him to help out sometimes, but I remember what I was like as a teenager, so I really don't begrudge him that too much. But he helped me today shovel snow. We got pounded by snow, I'd say about 6 inches, 7 inches of snow. And my snowblower's down, which sucks. Clogged carburetor, and from what my friends say, that's as common as just about anything. So as soon as I get the money, I'll get that fixed, but it didn't help me today. So probably when I get it fixed, I can count on no more snow for the rest of the year. Which is what it is, you know. as my late stepmother used to say. It is what it is. So, how are you? This is awful one-sided. I would love to reach out there and hear how you're doing, and wish you the best, and sympathetically listen to whatever's going through your mind and your life, because that matters to me. If you care enough to subscribe to my channel, or to keep an eye out and pay attention when I do a video of any sort, trying to entertain you, or something like that, you mean something to me. You're not just a faceless embodiment out there that gives me views and clicks. No, I don't do things for views and clicks. I do things because you are important to me, because you are interested in me, and that means a great deal to me these days. I may never ever be really crazy successful on YouTube or anything, and that's fine. This is my hobby and I enjoy doing this, but you're the reason ultimately why I keep doing this. So you're very welcome to all my effort and everything, and I do care. I hope that you're all doing well. I hope that you're all doing the best you can. I hope health finds you and everything. Since I think many of you would come to my channel because of my interest in gaming and putting out product related to gaming, I hope that you're all having a good time in a role-playing game or multiple, and that luck is with you and your character has been far from death. So, all well wishes to all of you. As far as for me, things are going pretty well. Surprisingly good. I don't drink coffee often. But as far as the role-playing game front goes, I'm wrapping up one campaign, the Warhammer 40,000 game. But we've been having a rash of bad luck getting people here to the table so that we can have the sessions to start wrapping it up. The big confrontation with the evil they've been indirectly fighting gets to draw that storyline to a close, which will be good. And then we've got the Princes of the Apocalypse 5th Edition D&D game, which is going pretty well. But again, we've been snake bitten a little bit with getting everybody here to show up for it. So it feels like it's been about a month plus, which is really unfortunate. I hate having long gaps of time between games. It just makes it harder to reconnect with the characters, and a lot of head scratching and wondering what we did last. Fortunately, one of my players is really good at taking notes, and cares enough to have entire notebooks full of notes for me. So when he fills it up, he gives it to me and I archive it. And I've got several campaigns that have a nice collection of notes. Granted, they're from his point of view, but that's fine. They're still very useful. And so that's been going pretty well. It's just a little frustrating right now. I haven't gotten to play in a while. And that kind of, really starts to... Yeah, I imagine some of you, have probably gone through lapses in gaming. If you are, habitual role player. And it does leave a gnawing kind of hunger at you that you really just want to do it and get in and play a game. It's an itch that you want to scratch. And I'm kind of there right now. Really, I am. Even though I run games, that's still an outlet that I crave, and I haven't had it in a while. Tomorrow is my wife's birthday. I love her very much, and trying to make it a good day for her. But at night, I've got a game that was kind of pushed off, and I completely forgot the night that it falls on. But she works the next day, so it's not likely to interfere. I'll still have a nice dinner and everything for her, and it'll be good. Which reminds me, I've got to make her cheesecake tonight. She loves the cheesecake. But yeah, I get to try Talaslanta, hopefully, if the Game Master can get his stuff together. Been a little turbulent because he's had players who've kind of said they were going to play and then dropped out, so that's unfortunate. But you know, I've never played it before, so I kind of have hopes. I'm not really much on solo play though, and that's what it looks like it's going to go to. But if it scratches the itch a little bit, so much the better. Then Thursday, if the weather holds, hopefully we can get in a game of Dungeons and Dragons for Valentine's Day, which will be nice. Get back on the horse there. It would be good. So yeah, that's certainly some things that are going on. Also, in case, this is kind of my public thing. I'm working with another person to make a new role-playing game. It's not based off of anything, at least not anymore. One of the funny things about the internet and social networking is I've met this gentleman. His name is Tim Harper. Nice guy, really nice guy. Tad overworked, but you know, he was making a game and he let us know about it. And this the circle, this role-playing game group. He did a video where he, you know, explained his full passion project and how it worked and everything. Not a lot of details. So I said, you know, I like to edit and help out games. Would you mind if I took a look at it? And he said, sure. He sent me a copy. And I read it, and it's a little different from what I myself habitually do. It's horror-themed, with strong elements of sacrifice and long-lasting consequences for misfortune. If you like Call of Cthulhu, where your characters are going mad and you understand that that's probably an inevitability, this might be a good game for you if you want to dip into fantasy from Call of Cthulhu. It's called 18 Inches of Blood. And the name is kind of actually cool. I didn't get it at first. But 18 is the highest statistic that you can have. The highest that one of your attributes can be, your statistics. And your character can be torn down an inch at a time from the abuse of the world and the consequences of your actions. So, and it's often, you know, very bloody. There's a lot of themes of blood and violence in the game. Like I said, this isn't for the faint of heart. So literally, your character may be 18 inches of blood worth of what you can do, which is kind of a cool concept. I like it. So I sent him a 2-hour-long video kind of critiquing it, giving suggestions and advice. And in the end, I wrapped it up by saying, you know, if you're looking for help, I'm available. And he offered to make me a partner and co-writer with him. So, yeah. I've been working on a variety of things, but honestly, having a partner to help me move forward and make positive changes and do some exciting things is, well, it's intoxicating in its possibilities. I really would like to have my name on a published work, and just as much so, I would really like to have the editing credit so that people can see that, you know, the quality of what I can do and what I can put out. It's really hard to break in if you don't have a credit on your name, a resume that you can turn into other people. So I've got a lot of hopes for that. We'll cross our fingers and, you know, hope that things work out for the best there. So that'll be exciting if that all pans out. It would really be nice. Let's see. That's most of what's going on in my world. Aside from trying to beat a few video games to get to chop down the huge collection of video games that I have, I'm trying to get through some of the ones with storylines. To me, a good video game is a little bit like reading a novel. You know, it's very engaging, but it's not never-ending. Massively multiplayer online games that are invested in not letting you finish don't have as much appeal to me as they once did. Now I'm trying to get through, for example, Dragon Quest VIII, I believe it's called. It's one that opens up 3D elements where you can go crawling all over the world and you know, doing your daring do, which is exciting. So I'm trying to get through that. I've got a lot of PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 games too, but you know, my PlayStation 2 backlog is there. I have plenty of PC games too, so yeah, I got a lot to do. But this was nice. This getting together and just chatting is cool. I hope you enjoy it, because I certainly wouldn't mind doing it more. And of course, if you have anything on your end of the conversation, I'll be sure to respond. And the next one, we can maybe have a little talk about it. Maybe one of these days I can even do a live video, and if enough people are interested, pop in and we can chat. That would be very nice. That is, of course, if anybody expresses any interest. If you don't, everyone's busy. I understand. It's not a problem. I'll just keep making videos, and hopefully you watch and enjoy them. So I figured I would kind of cap this off by showing you something. I had to dig this out because I do usually tote this around. This doesn't see daylight very often, but this is the unvarnished truth. This is my first ever Dungeons and Dragons character in AD&D. Right here, this old relic. Loose leaf paper. The character was made for me. I came into a group who was already in existence. It was mostly a couple of friends and their little brothers, and it was kind of a large and ungainly group. There were 2 dungeon masters who alternated. One guy liked the storylines, the other guy liked combat, so the difference between the two was interesting, and they played when they weren't running games. And we mostly went through the modules at the time, mostly the Dungeons and Dragons and AD&D modules. This was before 2nd edition, so well, I don't know if 2nd edition was out when we started this, but we had access to Oriental Adventures and Unearthed Arcana and so on and so forth. But they needed a healer, so they gave me a cleric. Pretty straightforward. Most of the numbers in here were not, written by me. They just handed me the character and said, "Here you go." Class cleric, race human, alignment lawful good, sex male, red hair and green eyes. I don't know why I went with that. It just seemed a little bit more exotic to me. 6 foot tall, 175 pounds. For some reason I scribbled out age. Now, this character has grown considerably. This character survived through, quite a few sessions, which was always my dad bringing me out to my friend's house. He had a nice house, huge play space. It was a little crowded because there were so many people playing. And I think we had a total of 8 players and the DM at the time. And also, this character sheet was modified after we stopped playing because, I admit, I have a fragile ego. Or I did. Now my ego is mellowed with age quite a bit. But at one point we were having kind of a... what's a more polite way to say it? Bragging sessions, I guess. Trying to say whose was better. Well, this is my most advanced character that I'd had up to that point, and the most powerful. So while I was going over some of the exploits of what my character did, some things got exaggerated, so I marked up the character and put a few numbers in that probably weren't right. The character on its own got legitimately to, I believe it was 21st level. And we did a lot of, very interesting things. I have a lot of fond memories of this character and playing this character. But things got a little out of control with making this character need to be even better than it already was, which was fine. A lot of that happened when somebody, one of my, the folks I met at the seminary I went to in my sophomore year of high school, his name was Toby, and he wanted to run me through a game, and I think I marked up the character a little bit during that, which I really shouldn't have done, but I did, and I'm owning up to it. But even so, he had some really neat things. His best weapon was a +3 mace. All the fighters ended up with nicer stuff than I had. +2 chainmail, a +1 shield. Very pedestrian for a 20th level character, but I never really got a great share of that. nor did we ever really find a great deal, even though we went through some of the classic modules. We went through Ravenloft, though, because I ended up with the icon of Ravenloft and the holy symbol, which both of those gave bonuses to my turning checks, which was very important in Ravenloft, fighting a lot of undead. At some point, I found an item called the Periapt of Pax, and if any of you know which module or adventure that came from, I don't think it was a homebrew, but it was a relic, sort of a minor artifact. It was a shriveled, mummified old foot of a saint. My character actually had to chop his foot off and affix it to the stump. But when I did so, I just remember this from the play. It had a number of abilities: calm others, lore, cure serious wounds, mass charm, true sight, cure critical wounds, and it served as a +3 mace, +5 versus creatures from the sphere of death. Or maybe that was a separate thing I got. At one point we actually went into the sphere of death, and that was from another module that I can't remember. All I remember was that this kingdom was being overrun by undead. We found out that it was because the sphere of death, which is kind of a sub-realm of the negative energy plane where the undead urge comes from, was leaking into the world, and we had to shut it down, and had some very memorable encounters there. Our samurai definitely had some interesting encounters. Maybe if anybody's interested, I could relate some of those stories, because there were some good ones. But yeah, just a number of really good encounters and really memorable, and that taught me an awful lot about gaming. My spell lists. The first ones weren't, I didn't make my first spell lists even. So, Cure Light Wounds, Protection from Evil, Detect Magic, Resist Cold, Detect Evil, second level Find Traps, Resist Fire, Spiritual Hammer, third level Cure Blindness and Cure Disease. And after that I hand wrote in as my character went up levels. It's so weird looking at a character sheet that isn't a pre-gen that has stuff on it written in somebody else's hand. But that's kind of how it went. One of his magical items: Potion of ESP, a Scroll of Cure Blindness, Periapt of Wound Closure, a Cornucopia. And a Cornucopia just could generate food. Mine was a bit ramped up. It could create a lot of food, meaning that a kingdom wouldn't starve if this Cornucopia was used on their behalf. But yeah, it was abused in the campaign that I ran with Toby, filling up hallways so I could escape. It was just a mess. Turning tables, again, this was filled in from the beginning by somebody other than my hand. Skeleton, zombie, ghoul, shadow, white, ghast, wraith, mummy, specter. So, and then finally in the end I created a spell list for myself, but I don't recall how much of that was actually my work and how much of it was other people's. Or, I know it was my work, but I don't know how much of it was legit. Yeah, and I reprinted this one, reprinted the character sheet in my own hand, and then I got stupid and I made it as a GM NPC for basic Dungeons and Dragons in the game that I ran in the seminary. And that was how I learned how bad that is, the practice of making a GM NPC and making it too stupidly powerful. Yeah. I have some regrets about what went on with that. So, that was that. My very first real character that way. Good memories. A lot of good stories I could tell out of this, but I just thought I'd show you this little relic. I mean, it's so old that the lines are practically faded. You can barely see them. This was from 1989, 1990 maybe? Oh, maybe it was after the seminary. Maybe it was 91. No, I think it was before. So yeah, probably like 89. Good times. Good times. So, well, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming here and having a little coffee with me. And we'll have to do this again. If you guys liked it, let me know. If you didn't care for it, or the unvarnished Rob just isn't as exciting as OmnusI and the Omnus Critic, and that's good to know too. That doesn't mean I won't keep doing this, because this is kind of nice. But we'll see what the future brings. All right? Thanks again. And may your dice always roll well. Farewell.